Welcome to the channel. Here we break down personal finance and build real financial literacy. It's not just about money, it's about using time management and task prioritization to focus on what matters most. With the right mindset, you'll master goal setting and follow through with goal achievement. And we'll always keep an eye on the big picture, investing in retirement accounts and planning for the long term. Stay disciplined, stay determined. This is Next Level Determination. In this video, we will be covering the topic of necessary versus unnecessary expenses, how to identify ways to reduce your monthly expenses. An unnecessary expense will be considered anything that is not absolutely needed for living day to day. Necessary would be the opposite of that, in which you absolutely must have it in order to survive. So now we'll just go through a list that I just made up. It's rather generic. It does not apply to every single person, but you can make your own list, customize it to your own situation, and repeat the exercise with me that way. So here I have a column with the names of the expenses. To the right of that, a column for variable versus constant. And what that is variable means it can change every month. Your rent, for example, should be a constant because it should stay fixed every month for the most part. Maybe you have an annual increase, but month to month it should stay the same. Whereas if you habitually go to Starbucks, unless you order the same exact drink the same number of times every month, then it's going to be variable. So you might spend a little more or a little less each month depending. Okay, so it's variable versus constant. Next, let's look at necessary versus unnecessary. Now, rent or mortgage, you can do either one on this. Obviously, it's gonna have to be a necessary expense because you have to have a place to live. But I'm going to classify, in this example, Starbucks as unnecessary because caffeine and the different drinks that you can have at Starbucks, they taste good, make you feel good, and they help give you that boost for the day, but they're not absolutely necessary. And also, these unnecessary expenses, you don't have to cut them out of your life forever, but if you are in debt and trying to get ahead, then this is one expense that you can cut out, the unnecessary expense column. Moving on to the category. Here, I'm just going to type in what it is. So for rent, I'm just going to put a living expense. Starbucks will be a luxury expense. All right, a car note. This doesn't apply to everybody. Some people use public transportation instead, and some people have their own vehicles. And of those people that have their own vehicles, some buy the car outright, or it's a used vehicle, they get it cheaper. And then others have a vehicle that they don't pay for outright, so they have a car loan or a car note still on it, so they have to make those monthly payments. And that should, again, month to month, stay constant. Maybe if you pay off some of the principal, it might change it depending on the terms of the loans, but overall it should stay constant month to month. And this one, I could argue either way, necessary or unnecessary, but if you don't have public transportation, then you do need a vehicle. So we're just going to go ahead and mark this one as necessary and categorize it as living. What you can do to cut down the expenses on the car note is try to get a more affordable vehicle that fits your needs. You don't need to go above and beyond and get something luxurious if you can't genuinely afford it. If it's above your means, your cost of living, then you should probably hold off on getting that. For a phone bill, this is going to be a necessary expense because that's how society is now. Everybody needs a phone, whether you're communicating with family, loved ones, friends, or the workplace. And this one typically is going to be constant. I know there's some that might have a variable option depending on if you pay as you go. but most of them are a plan that you have preset. And if you make any changes to the plan, then it becomes variable one time. And then after that, it should be constant at that new rate. Let's say, I go to the movie theater. I'm going to go to the movie theater a few times. It's my ride. I need to have this and enjoy, relax. Well, that's going to be variable based upon how many times you go. And it is not necessary at all. While it is enjoyable, it's not necessary. And there all are alternatives. As you can watch something at home. Maybe you already have a subscription service, streaming service or something. You could watch something on there, and we'll get into that here in a moment. Or you could even look at free options online if you need something to watch. Again, this is the only purpose of this exercise is to identify what's needed versus not needed and look at ways to cut out the unnecessary so you can reduce the amount you spend every month so that you can work on getting ahead. That's all this exercise is for. All right, the grocery store. This is definitely variable unless you eat the same exact thing for each meal every day of the week and have a set menu that you strictly adhere to with no variation. Then it's going to be a variable. It doesn't have to be a drastic difference, but it will still have some variance to it. And yes, that's necessary because you need food to live. Now, in contrast to that, fast food, it is convenient. Oh, I don't feel like cooking. I'm just going to grab something on the way home. Yes, you can do that. It is convenient. And in some instances, it may be the better option if you're crunched for time, if you have a deadline, you're trying to do work from home or something, or have a lot of other prior commitments that leave you with very little time that day to actually prepare your own food. But those are what we're going to call exceptions, and the overwhelming majority of the time, that's not going to be the case. So fast food is going to be variable as you choose how many times you go get it. It's not necessary because the more affordable and healthier option is to prepare your own food, honestly. So that's a double whammy for you right there. And again, in some instances, then it's not the best option for you, and you'll have to tailor this, custom this to your own situation. So it's just a guideline. Gasoline, so this will be your fuel for your car. Yes, you could also have a diesel, but I'm just labeling it as gasoline since we call them gas stations usually. So this should be variable because of, the cost per unit. But if you're driving to and from work and stick to a relatively strict schedule, then it's going to be the same usage, just varies in price because of how much it costs per gallon. Yes, that's necessary. And this is for the people that don't use public transportation, obviously. And again, it depends on your own situation. Living, because you have to have that for work and grocery store. Water and sewer. So this, your water, unless you have a specific plan with your utility company that may do dollar cost averaging after so many months of the year, and then base all your subsequent months upon the first 3 months of the year's usage, then it's going to be variable month to month based upon what you use. And that'll be specific to your utility company that you use for this. Yes, that's going to be a necessary expense because you have to have water, running water, and then sewer for living. Going to a nice restaurant. Once again, this is similar to the fast food. Although it is nice to get out and enjoy something, it's unnecessary. Although it is nice and you can look at that as a reward if you want. After you hit a certain milestone or something, treat yourself, absolutely. But overall, limit the amount of times you go out to eat in any form. And again, that'll be a variable because it's all relative to how many times you go. This is a luxury item. Electricity, this one's definitely variable, and I know anywhere, it doesn't matter where you live. In the different seasons, you use different amounts of electricity to heat your home, to cool your home. lights being used, different appliances as they wear out. And some places it's included in your rent. I understand that. But for those of you who have to pay the bill itself, then yes, this will be a variable and a necessary expense. And you can just keep an eye on usage. If you monitor it month to month and then see, okay, here's the months that I peak at, that I have the most usage. Here's the months that I have the least usage. What do I do differently during those times? Okay, can I get any more energy efficient appliances that aren't going to cost an arm and a leg, cost a whole lot of money? Because you don't want to spend more money and then be more negative as a result, because that's a long-term solution, which you can work on doing. But the more immediate solution is see what you can cut. If you leave lights on all the time, you might shut some of them off. If you have 4 refrigerators, you might probably reduce it to 1 or just use 1, because that's a lot of refrigerators. And yes, some people do have that. If you constantly have multiple TVs on all the time that are not being used, turn them off. Real simple on that. Just overall monitor usage. Be more cognizant, be more aware of what's going on. Okay, a concert, definitely unnecessary, although they are awesome, and I get that. It's a variable, and this, unless you're somebody that feels you have to go to some concert every month, then that's probably an infrequent occurrence and not much of a concern, but I threw it on there just because, kind of like a wild card. Luxury. Internet, that should be a constant, because usually it's set up on a plan month to month. In this day and age, we're going to say it's necessary, because even for leisure, any kind of work, or a lot of kinds of work, you're going to use internet in some form. Email, okay, even paying bills online, you use internet. And not everything is mobile friendly, where you can access it on your phone and do it correctly. Some of the websites just don't cooperate with it. So let's just say internet though. So if you have a computer or a tablet or whatever other device that hooks up to it. Streaming services also require internet. Gaming, if you're a gamer, you have to have internet. Even for school age kids, students oftentimes still need internet access at home to be able to complete assignments, or if they have any virtual days. I know after COVID hit, then a lot of schools across the country started switching to virtual options in which internet would be required in order for them to do that. So internet in 2025, absolutely necessary, should be at a constant bill, constant rate. Trash, that's like a trash pickup. If you live in an apartment complex, it's probably added already into your rent. If you live in an apartment, a duplex, or an individual home, whether you rent or own, then you're going to be likely paying a trash service fee, either through a trash company or through a utility company. Like some utility companies might combine trash service with water and sewer and electricity all together, because they have multiple different departments that work in that city to do it. If you're in a more rural community, out in the countryside, then you might be paying to multiple different countries or companies out in the countryside, paying multiple different companies for these services. So that should usually be on a constant, because it'd be like once a week or something for a pickup, or twice a week, twice a month, whatever it is, whatever the rate is and whatever your needs are. Netflix. Okay, so here we're going to go through a few of these all together, because we have Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Starz, ESPN. These are all subscription streaming services, and it's fine to have one of these. I myself will cycle through stuff sometimes. I'll be like, I'll check out Netflix for a month or two. Okay, I watched all I wanted to on there. There's nothing new. I don't want to just repeat the same stuff, so now I'll just switch platforms. And sometimes you can get deals or promotional offers, so you're only paying a fraction of the actual price. Whenever you switch, then you're actually cutting a deal, saving money in the process as well. Yes, you're spending a little bit, but overall you're saving it if you reduce your total quantity of services from, multiple down to a single. So in this instance, if we have 5 different streaming services we're using, if we cut that down to 1, you're going to save all the difference on that. And unless you're watching it 24/7, then you're not going to actually be making good use of this. You're not going to be optimizing what you're paying for, because you have only so many hours in a day, only so much time you can spend watching anything, but you're paying the price for all those services, and you're just not getting your money's worth. We'll just put it that way. But you can optimize it by just selecting one for the month or something. I know it might be hard with families where one person prefers programs on here, one prefers it on HBO, one, loves sports. And, a lot of times there are other options that you can find for free to accommodate that, or sometimes they bundle it. Like sometimes Hulu bundles with Disney, or you might have an ESPN bundle with it too. I mean, there's always exceptions to everything. So find what works for you. If you find that you have too many streaming services, look into reducing it. That's a very viable way of reducing unnecessary expenses. And these are going to be constant because you're paying a monthly subscription. Unless you have a deal or promotional offer, and then that's still a constant for X amount of months. But these are all luxuries. Car insurance. If you have a car, yes, you definitely need to have insurance. You can get fined for not having it if you're pulled over. Whenever you go to renew your tags, you definitely have to have it, or they want to black tag your vehicle. And then if you're caught driving that on the street, a bigger fine, multiple fines possibly. Point is, we're going to say that is a necessary expense, and we're going to say constant because it's usually, again, set on a plan. Now, sometimes you can bundle different insurances. If you have multiple insurances or multiple vehicles, you can bundle them together to get an overall premium discount. So it might reduce it by, let's say, 1%, 2%, 5%, somewhere in there. And then some car insurance companies also offer a good driver discount, wherein if you have so many years without any accidents or tickets, or if they put a monitor, like a little Bluetooth monitor in your vehicle to check how erratic or safe you're driving, it can further reduce it another 5 or 10%. So you can save money on that if you have multiple insurances easily. If you have a family with multiple cars, look into bundling if you haven't already. It's one way to save. So that's going to be a constant, necessary. And again, it's a living expense. And this applies to people that have cars, obviously. People that rely on public transportation, it's not an issue. They'll have to look at just paying for their, usually public transportation has some kind of monthly membership. At least whenever I used to use it, you had a monthly pass you could get, and it should be unlimited for a certain fee. Or some places might have a certain dollar amount for the month, and you just pay for that, and it's kind of like preloaded or something. And then the last item I have on this example is just unused memberships. And what that, here's a super common one. I'll just use this. The gym membership. Okay. Let's say it's the beginning of the year. A lot of people have a New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get in shape. Awesome. I hope you do. I hope you stick to it. I hope you achieve your goals. But the overwhelming majority of people, unfortunately, tend to waver from actually achieving that goal. They start out good and they burn out, but then they just don't go. But they're still paying for that membership. So then they're spending, however much money a month. I'm going to go from low end to high end here. Maybe, $15 super low end, $30 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month. Some of them are over $100 a month, depending on where you're going. That you're just paying for nothing every month because you're not using it. Any other kind of memberships too, that's just the best example I can think of off the top of my head, because it's a super common one. That's actually how a lot of gyms get the bulk of their revenue, is from unused memberships that people pay because they don't want to bother canceling it. At least any of the gym owners I've spoken to. So, forgot to check here. Trash is a necessary expense. Okay. So back to unused memberships. You might also have some for, like maybe certain groups that you're no longer active in. like some zoos and aquariums offer memberships, and a lot of times those you pay that annual fee, and if you go 2 or 3 times a year, then it's paid for itself already. So for families, that's usually a good deal and probably not that big of an issue. But more so for the monthly recurring memberships, wherein you pay a fee every month. If you're not using it, look into it. If you want to use it and you're paying for it, use it. That's what you got it for. You're trying to improve something, right? Some aspect of your life. Go for it. But if you're not using it, it's just going to waste. And why let money go to waste? You can repurpose that money towards paying off other debt and getting ahead in life. Right? So this one, unused memberships, those are, because it's a monthly thing, a constant. But the key word here is unused. If it's unused, it's unnecessary. If you're using it, then you can argue that it's necessary, And again, gym membership, your physical health is very important, so take care of yourself. If you have a membership, I'd rather see everybody go and use their membership, gym membership, get in shape, live a healthier lifestyle, than to just cancel it. The benefits are far greater in actually using that membership, because your health is one of the most important things in this world. All right. If you don't have your health, then everything else is second nature, second rate to that, not second nature, second rate to that. So an unused membership will be a luxury. So that's all of them in this example. Now I'm going to go up top and we're just going to look at, all right, here's all the unnecessary expenses that we could potentially cut out. And let's take a look. Luxury. Oh, living. That should have been luxury. I was like, wait a second. So this is why we double check stuff too, because mistakes are made. So no harm in double checking anything you do. All right, so all the living expenses, are necessary. Cool, that lines up. Some of these are variable, some are constant again, but overall, if it's the luxury category, it's because it's unnecessary. So look at, you could save on one category, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but there's 5 of these, so we'll count that as 1. So really 6, 7 potential categories, 7 potential ways to save money in this instance. And again, it's just a crude example, an overview, a generalization. You'll have to customize it to your own specific expenses. And really, if you'll sit down and map out your expenses, which, I'll go through that in another video too, but just map out your own expenses. You list everything you spend money on that month, and then you make your own little check mark boxes next to it if you want for, was it necessary or was it unnecessary? Was this a living expense or was this a luxury expense? That can help you to identify, and that's the purpose of this video, is to identify those differences, because that's what you need to do to get this ball rolling, to get the momentum started in paying off debt, getting out of debt, and then eventually building wealth, getting ahead of the curve, if you will. So that is it for this video. If you found this video helpful, please hit like, definitely subscribe, share this with any friends or family that you feel may find this information insightful. If you feel that they could benefit from it, by all means share it. That's why I'm trying to do these videos, is I genuinely want to help people with it. There's so many people that struggle with it, and I don't like to see people struggle, so I'm trying to help where I can. So again, and if you would, leave a comment even. Did you find this helpful or did you not? What would you want to see changed? Do you want any other future videos made of a specific subject? Just drop a comment so that I know. So thank you for watching. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found value in this, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe to Next Level Determination so you don't miss out on more tips that'll take your financial literacy, goal setting, and time management to the next level. If you know a friend or family member who could benefit from this content, share this video with them. Let's build a community of people determined to reach their goals together. Until next time, stay focused, stay motivated, and always push toward your next level.